Right, so let's go on. We're talking about influence here. We want to pay attention to the understanding, as we say. We want to learn to understand our youths. To do that, we need to, from what we have learned, we need to listen with attentiveness, and mindfulness to understand. So attentiveness is that there are what you call practice active listening, but also mindfulness is that your mind is on what they are saying, not on something else. And that sometimes is very challenging for adults because they have so much things that they have to do, so much responsibilities. It's challenging to be filling your mind with just this person and what they are saying. Interacting, asking the right questions, mindfulness. But that is very important. Listening attentively, but also with mindfulness. Right? We're going to speak only when you are asked to speak. So you share when you are asked questions. But what you are doing is, in your listening, you are asking questions for clarification. You are interacting by asking questions, but you giving advice only when they ask you for advice, right? Ask more questions to gain insight and more understanding. So you're asking questions because some of what they're saying, you might not need clarification. So you want insight. What is it? What are they really saying? What do they mean by what they're saying? Then you want to admit faults. If you are told something that you did that you should not have done and they wish you would have done something else, you admit, hey, yeah, I really messed up there. I really dropped the ball. You remain truthful, right? But you remain truthful to the identity or to identify with their weaknesses. You want to identify that we are all humans and that we all mess up sometimes. We make mistakes sometimes. And you also want to do it so that they will realize, wait a minute, you identify with something they're experiencing. Right? And when they mess up, that they could also say, yeah, I really messed up there too, So they don't find it hard to say they mess up and they did something bad and they did something wrong and they made a mistake, right? So you want to be able to admit that, yeah, I made a mistake there. Now, there could be accusations where they are accusing you of something that you didn't really do. You have to say, well, what do you mean? You have to get clarification and go back. Oh, well, I didn't really think that is what I was doing. Okay, maybe I didn't understand. So you try to get to a common ground by agreeing and being able to disagree agreeably, meaning you may have done something that the person read wrong, not knowing that what they were doing, what they were looking at it through their eyes, and you were doing something through your eyes. You didn't really pay attention to what they were thinking, right? So people could look at the same situation, actually read it wrong, all right? And that's something that happens a lot with youths. We have to be aware of that and clarify, all right? But there are some exercises that I want to give you now, exercises to be able to understand youths, listening to them, paying attention to them, all right? Invest quality time listening, right? Listening attentively, that's the word, to some youths, some of your mentees, your students. Just listening and asking questions to gain understanding, not to be understood. Your focus is not for them to understand. Your focus is, I want to understand this child, this youth, all right? What they want, what they desire, what is happening with them, what are their disappointments, what are their fears, their frustrations, their challenges. Very important to spend quality time doing that. Next, how did the person respond to your attentiveness and questions? Pay attention to how they're responding to your attentiveness. Even at the end or even in between, even to the questions. Are they annoyed by your questions? Are they irritated by it? Do they feel as if you're what's the word? Interrogating them because you want to ask the question in a very compassionate manner, right? So you want to pay attention to how they're responding and change accordingly. Then, what insight did you gain from their beliefs? So even though you're asking them questions, you want to get to their beliefs. What is it that they believe? Why they think those things or why they did those things? Not just the action. What is their belief system? So you want to ask the right question to get to the belief systems. Very important. You want to, because that is the most powerful thing we need to deal with, the belief system. That's the heart of the matter. All right? Did they ask you to share what you think or believe? All right? How did they respond to what you shared? So if they ask you about what you believe, what you think, or what you would have done, how did they respond to it when you give your advice? When you give, no, not your advice, when you give your opinion, right? Your opinion, not advice, your opinion. What did you if they ask you to share your advice, then how did they respond to your advice? Okay? And of course, when you go to share your advice, always start with the reasons why. So for example, if you're going to ask a question as to what would you do, and you will say, well, because I believe XYZ, I would have done this. Always start with that. Because I believe this, I will do so and so and so. You always start that way. The reason why, you want them to get to understand your beliefs as well. And when they respond, what happens? They're looking now at your beliefs. You want them to get to the place of understanding the power of belief, not just the power of behavior. All right? That's why you answer that way. Okay? Very, very powerful. Okay, so I hope this helped in getting you to become a person of influence, and that it really changed the way you interact. All right? Wonderful. Great, great, great. Wonderful.